Don't call it a comeback. Actually, it's not a comeback. We're the ones coming back. Coming back to the Angel Cuesta from J.C. Newman. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz, and that right there is America's favorite amateur drinker. They call him Johnny Good News, the happy hour anchor man, and he's also known as Super Party Fun Time on Tinder. It's Fingers Malloy.
Mr. Super Party Fun Time on Tinder.
Find everything we do at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. This is the Angel Cuesta, the cigar of kings. This was the cigar, the official cigar of King Alfonso XIII. He ruled Spain from 1886 to 1931, as they call it there in Spain, the good times.
Allegedly.
So we have smoked this cigar before. It comes from J.C. Newman, comes from El Reloj, which, by the way, I learned in my interview with Drew Newman of J.C. Newman, which you'll hear in just a few minutes. I've been pronouncing it wrong all these years. I always referred to it El Reloj, R-E-L-O-J. The J is silent. It's El Reloj. It's clock, which refers to the big clock tower there in Ybor City. This is an Ecuadorian Havana Rosado wrapper, and they don't tell you what the binder and the filler is. The pigtail cap, which is a nice, beautiful throwback. This is the Salomone, the Angel Cuesta, C-U-E-S-T-A, Salomone, which means it's a 7 1/4 by 57. 7 1/4 inches long. Always makes Fingers Malloy laugh, and me as well. The ring gauge is a 57. That's the diameter of the cigar, or how thick it is around. A 64 ring gauge would be a full 1 inch around, but this is a perfecto. It starts off a little more bulbous and then tapers down ever so slightly. Did a straight cut on these, although, as Fingers will note, my straight cut went askew.
Yeah, it did.
I angled my straight cut. It can happen. I went a little too fast, didn't make sure the cutter was even, and the next thing you know, I look like an amateur.
You were very excited, but, people are not going to judge you based on your cut, Tony. They're going to judge you based on your character.
Well, those days are over. Over and gone and dead, Fingers Malloy. You are a bygone era. We smoked this cigar before. And what we found on the cigar, it's not that there was anything issuematic or problematic with it. It was nice. It was nice. That's the best I could possibly do. It was nice. It was a nice cigar. At the price point, weren't sure it was in our humidor, but there are so many things from J.C. Newman that are in the humidor. The Black Diamond, the Diamond Crown series, the American is in my humidor as we speak. I wasn't so sure about this. And then Corey Johnston, who owns Blend Bar Cigar, where we record, blendbarcigar.com in Indianapolis and Pittsburgh and the Woodlands outside of Houston, said you should try it again. Something changed. Now, sometimes it's just a matter of a cigar laying down, which means it has time to age. It has time for the tobaccos to come together. Sometimes, when a cigar is just rolled, it's to what they call green. It just, the oils aren't right, nothing is situated. Like good leftovers, in the Yiddish, it needs time to famish.
Like chili.
Right. Is chili better the second day?
Absolutely.
Is nearly everything better the second day?
Chinese food?
Clearly, and cold, and eaten over the kitchen sink.
Wow. I am interested in your newsletter. When does it come out?
Comes out every Tuesday at 4:15. So we're like, we should absolutely go back to it and see what it's like. It is a very pretty brown wrapper right here. It's a little bit darker, but not too dark. It is not mottled. It is very, very, mottled with the black within it. Very simple. There's a little bit of oil. And after that, not too descript, Fingers.
No. And can you talk a little bit about the extra band down by the foot? It's a nice presentation. Looks great in the box in the humidor. We just lit this, and right off the bat for me, Tony, I'm getting, some decent amount of pepper, as well as a little bit of chocolate and a little bit of cream.
Well, I don't think you're necessarily wrong. Habano wrapper, I'm not surprised that you're getting a spice hit off the bat. I just lit up. I've just gotten started. So I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to be with the flavors of this cigar. So far, I will tell you that I do not get the super big spice hit. I don't get the super big punch at all. What I get is just right now just easy. I'm getting much more tobacco than I'm getting any other flavor. That's where I'm at. So this cigar is, I don't know if I'd call it it's not a resurgence of J.C. Newman. They are surged, people. We're talking about 126 years of being in operation. Cigars that you know left, right, up and down. Cigars that you have smoked and you're going to smoke again for sure. They have one of the best price point cigars out there, the Brick House.
Yes.
The Brick House works all occasions. Great golf course cigar and everything else. The Mighty Mighty, which is a bit bigger. The Brick House Maduro. What they do for Oktoberfest. The Oktoberfest Brick House has been for the last couple of years.
Bricktober, right?
Do they call it Bricktober?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, look at you. Has always been wonderful. So far, so simple. I would say that right now with the thing that I'm getting off of this, I get the tobacco. It is soft. It is actually an extremely smooth piece. Being a Perfecto, it starts off with a very, very tiny foot. You light the foot end, you cut the cap, and then it burns up. So it's a little bit of a tough draw at the first before it gets to the bulbous part. Mm-hmm. Yeah, always makes them laugh. And then it becomes a much easier draw and a much easier smoke. So I'm not getting anything harsh. Maybe a little bit of wood, maybe a little bit of cedar at the first. But I will also say this, for me, a slightest bit of bitter right now. Okay. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It also could have to do with how I've cut it, how I'm drawing on it, and the intensity of the heat that's coming through.
Now, we've talked about this on previous shows when you have a cigar like this with its shape.
There it
is. Always a straight cut on this for you?
There is no way I'm V-cutting this. You might think that there's a possibility it has a little bit of for people maybe beginning a bit of a torpedo cap kind of look. It also has the pigtail on it, the classic homage to the original rolling days. No, this would be a straight cut for me. As shallow as I could do it and still get a full draw is where I would be. And then I would, if I needed to recut, I would go back to it. So we are smoking the Angel Cuesta from J.C. Newman. Of course, my conversation with J.C. Newman about how they're growing, what they're doing there in Ybor City, the trends that he is seeing. What does it take to do 4 generations of this? That's all coming up. The question, Fingers Malloy, we're now doing this for the second time. Is this in your humidor? It's got an MSRP. That is the manufacturer suggested retail price of $22. But you're going to find this between $22 and $32 at most tobacconists.
I mean, we just lit this. My gut tells me if you put a gun to my head right now, I would say yes, because we're going to get well over 2 hours.
Oh, without question. So this is now a question of value. Now we got to get into the conversation of flavor. We are going to smoke. We are going to share. We have got some excellent bourbon to get to as well. Don't forget Let's Go Barbecue and Let's Go Bourbon, available at Amazon.com. Those are our books with more to come. Let's Go BBQ and Let's Go Bourbon at Amazon.com, and find everything at EatDrinkSmokeShow.com. J.C. Newman, the oldest family-owned cigar maker in America, and every year they remind you why. But what they continue to push out, is absolutely remarkable. Eat, Drink, Smoke. Tony Katz, Fingers Malloy, of course. It is J.C. Newman, and Drew Newman joins me right now. You can find out everything at jcnewman.com. It is, without a doubt, known that cigars are a family business and things do get passed down, and there are big family connections here. But 4 generations, from the Brick House to El Reloj and everything you've got going in Tampa Bay and all around the world, how difficult has it been to be the 4th generation leader of a name so big?
Well, thank you so much, Tony. I will say it's a privilege. It is a privilege to be able to continue our family's 128-year-old, 4-generation family business, and to be the ambassadors not only for our family, but for the cigar city of Tampa through El Reloj, which has now become the last traditional cigar factory still operating in the United States.
So when I pronounce it El Reloj, I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Well, I think you can pronounce it different ways. We pronounce it El Reloj, which means clock or watch in Spanish, which is the nickname of our historic cigar factory, and it's because of its iconic clock tower that really kept the time in the Ybor City Historic Cigar District a century ago, before everyone had wrist watches and smartphones.
Well, if it's pronounced El Reloj, I will pronounce it El Reloj. The Diamond Crown, the Maximus, the Julius Caesar, the Black Diamond, and of course Brickhouse and Perla Del Mar and El Baton and the Angel Cuesta is another one that you do. We actually reviewed that on the show a few months ago, and I know that there's a new round of it that has come out. Is this a little bit different? Do you feel that there's something about what you've done now with the Angel Cuesta, which was the cigar for the King of Spain? Is there something better to this go around than maybe the last one? Something different?
Well, Angel Cuesta, you're right, as you mentioned, was the cigar of King Alphonse XIII of Spain 100 years ago. We brought it back last year. We re-released it as a handmade cigar here in our El Reloj Historic Cigar Factory in Tampa, and it's a beautiful cigar. It's got a pigtail cap and an unfinished foot, and it's full of flavor with a beautiful, gorgeous Havana seed wrapper on it, and it's full of flavor, and it's a cigar made for a king, and you should feel like royalty when you light it up.
The feel of a cigar. Never mind, people they like different vitolas for how it feels in the hand and mouthfeel. I don't like to go above a 56 in a ring gauge. It doesn't work for me, but I'm also extremely comfortable with the Lancero, and some people find that too dainty. They're not fond of that. In your working this, in the family's working this, have you found that some things are indeed more popular or smoke better, some sizes than others?
Well, I will say, the most popular sizes today are, without a doubt, Toros and Robustos. And when we create new cigars now, we'll always blend and test them in the Toro shape. It's just a good standard to compare it to. But that's changed over time, Tony. As you know, cigars a century ago were almost all Perfectos, and they were short and thin. They were 4 or 5 inches long at most, and 30 to 40 ring gauge. And so cigars over time, in our experience, have gotten so much larger and also are now much more flavorful. And it's something that we can actually see here in El Reloj, because we have an incredible cigar vault in our basement that has thousands of cigars dating back in our collection from 1906, and then we also have the oldest cigars in the world down there from 1857. So you can visually see the evolution of the cigar industry over the past 100-plus years.
When you look at your cigars, right, and you see things that are made in Nicaragua, that things you do with the Arturo Fuente family and other places, you have a particular focus on American-made cigars. Now, the American is something that's in my humidor. It's a cigar that when new stations join, we try and send a gift, and it's one of the cigars that I usually send and say, welcome to the Eat, Drink, Smoke family. Is there something, is it a pride factor in saying this is an all-American tobacco, all-American cigar, or was it just an opportunity and that you have found to be enjoyable?
Well, I think, Tony, what sets our family apart from the rest of the cigar industry is that we're not only pretty much the oldest as a 128-year-old family business, but we're an American company. We were founded in the United States. We make cigars overseas, but we also have the last factory still rolling cigars in the United States. And so we're very proud of the American cigar tradition, which dates back to 1612 when the first commercial tobacco crop was planted in the Virginia colony. And so in our view, there's wonderful cigars that are handcrafted all around the world, and we all should appreciate them, and we do. We just don't want to forget the fact that there's a historic American cigar tradition as well, and it's something that we as this 4th-generation American family business are really in the best position to highlight and keep alive and share with future generations.
Talking to Drew Newman of J.C. Newman Cigars, J.C. Newman, Newman, jcnewman.com. The family aspect. which is much more than just about specifically the Newman family. And you see this with a fair amount of cigar manufacturers and how they treat the people they work with, the rollers, the people who are engaged in the blending. For you guys, there's a park now. You basically opened a park, a cigar. Is it called Cigar Workers Park? Is that the official name of it?
That's it. 4 years ago, in celebration of our company's 125th anniversary, we decided to restore El Reloj and turn it into the destination for cigar tourism. And we went from having 0 visitors 4 years ago to 15,000 visitors just last year for tours or to see our cigar museum or attend an event or a cigar rolling class. It's just amazing how many people want to come into our factory, just like people go to wineries or breweries and distilleries. But one piece of feedback that people have given us is that they come and spend a few hours here and learn about cigars and our family in Ybor City, and they say, what's next? We want more. What else can we do? And so we wanted to expand beyond El Reloj, our historic factory, and reinvigorate our corner of the Ybor City Historic District. And so our next project, our new project, is just what we finished this week, which was Cigar Workers Park, a beautiful oasis across the street from El Reloj, where you can go enjoy a fine cigar and relax. And it's a beautiful park that we wanted to dedicate to the hundreds of thousands of people who've worked in Tampa's historic cigar industry since 1886. Tony, you and I get to enjoy amazing cigars, but very rarely do we get to thank the people who work so hard to make these incredible cigars that we all get to enjoy. And it's tough. It's hard work. And so we wanted to do something to recognize and show our appreciation and thanks to these incredible cigar workers for creating world-class cigars.
More with Drew Newman of J.C. Newman coming up. This is Eat, Drink, Smoke, EatDrinkSmokeShow.com. Fingers Malloy is a romantic.
So true.
He is a guy who likes to cuddle.
Yes.
He likes to give foot rubs.
For the purposes of this conversation, sure.
Loves to give foot rubs.
Yes.
Asks total strangers to give foot rubs.
Yeah.
And most importantly, he likes teddy bears. Which means Fingers Malloy is the perfect man to discuss Valentine's Day and how to celebrate it.
For some of us, Tony, every day is Valentine's Day.
It's Eat, Drink, Smoke every time. I'm Tony. I've heard that joke 100 times. Every time it gets me. I'm Tony Katz. That is Fingers Malloy. And Fingers brought the list of the 11 most romantic restaurant chains for Valentine's Day. Now, I ask you, Fingers Malloy, this comes from eatthis.com. If you're going to a chain restaurant for Valentine's Day, isn't the relationship already over?
Wow.
No?
I guess all those sponsorship opportunities have just been thrown out the window.
No. They could convince me. They could totally convince me. Here is the list of the most romantic spots for Valentine's Day. Number 1, Buca di Beppo.
Sure.
Which is oddly enough Fingers' given name. By the way, Buca di Beppo does good work. Mm-hmm. Buca di Beppo does fine food.
Okay, listen.
Right.
You are Mr. Sophistication.
Say it.
You are the type of guy when
like
you
meant it.
say, I want an Italian restaurant in my life today. You ask people around you, you say, people, where can I find the finest Italian restaurant in town? For Italian food, for me, I do kind of lean towards a chain. Just because
I'm looking at a picture of a heart-shaped lasagna.
Right there, that's love. You could do a whole Hallmark movie specifically on the heart-shaped lasagna.
Heart-shaped lasagna. Yeah.
No? Not a fan?
Brio Italian Grill is number 2 on the list. They're not ranked. It's just a list of 11. I don't know Brio. I don't know them. There are 60 locations across the country. Capital Grill. Agreed. Capital Grill works anytime, anywhere it is, without question. The one in Indianapolis, I think it's the only one in the country that does breakfast because it's attached to a hotel called the Conrad. Very, very nice hotel in downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah, they got cable there.
They have cable?
Yes.
And they've got the beds that vibrate.
Ooh.
Yeah. But they don't take quarters, only silver dollars. Capitol Grill is a place to go for Valentine's Day. 100%. Fact.
I had no idea that the Capitol Grill was actually a chain. I mean, how many Capitol Grills are there?
You didn't know that? I don't have the answer to that question. I don't have it in front of me. But, Capitol Grill. They're in a bunch of cities. Capitol Grill does wonderful work.
I wonder what they do specifically for Valentine's Day. Listen, to me, I could go to Capitol Grill every day.
According to this, they have impressive seafood towers.
Listen, a tower makes every meal better.
Chart House is on the list, which is a seafood place. They do fine work.
Do you find that seafood is a romantic food?
You mean like shrimp or lobster?
Yeah.
Well, by definition, lobster's expensive. It's fancy. It is considered the high end for sure.
So that's what it is, right? It's the fact that everyone knows that lobster. It's pricey.
Isn't that exactly the story of the diamond?
Yeah.
There are far rarer gemstones out there, and it's interesting that this started with millennials and it's continued. For wedding rings, diamonds are not as much in favor with younger generations as rubies, emeralds, things like that, because they consider it more unique and more special. But the whole diamond market, the way they hold back diamonds and try and organize the diamond price, the marketing that's done on diamonds, it's not about the rarity. It's about what the value we put to it.
That's fair.
So I think lobster's the same way. It's my problem with lobster is I have no interest in doing that much work.
Yeah.
I don't want to crack anything. I'm not interested in finding the knuckle. I just lay it all out for me.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about crab.
Oh, I can't.
Crab legs. It's just like you just see people working for hours to get like 3 ounces of meat.
I want crab cakes. Mm-hmm. Let somebody else do the work, and I will take it in cake form. Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse. Del Frisco's is solid. Del Frisco's is a solid steakhouse. But it's one of those places that the only time I think of it is when you're on some kind of vacation or corporate retreat and the boss takes everybody to Del Frisco's. Uh-huh. And the bill's $7,200 and everyone had a big steak and you get the tomahawk, it's got the giant bone, and you're like, oh, look at that. Arr, I'm a pirate or I'm a giant. I don't know what you are. You're a giant pirate. And that's it.
You know how sometimes we do a list and it'll be the top 10 fast food burgers and I'm all in? I think I've been to maybe 2 of these places in my entire life.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these. I'm like, I've never ventured into Del Frisco before.
Oh, I will take you to Del Frisco's. Okay. I will take you out for a fine seafood dinner as well. Eddie V's is on there, which is a seafood place, and Il Fornaio. I don't even think I'm pronouncing it right. They've got 20 locations, California and Las Vegas. Morton's the steakhouse. Yes. Absolutely perfect for Valentine's Day. There are less of them than there used to be, but they do work. Ocean Prime, again, seafood. So this list is legit. Like, I thought it was going to be like fast food places. I thought it was going to be like Taco Bell and things like that. STK, it's a steakhouse. There are about 20 locations across the country. Bring your wallet. Bring somebody else's wallet.
I was going to say, well, I feel like most of these bring your wallet. I mean, you just mentioned Del Frisco. Morton's isn't cheap.
No, not at all. Those are all bring your wallet places. Yes. And that's but I think that's why people see them as Valentine's places, because they are special. Yeah. You don't go there every day.
But see, the way I look at it, going back to the beginning of this conversation, when every day is Valentine's Day, Tony, you don't have to make that one day special and make a huge investment in that day. You can just go to Chili's every week.
So you and Mrs. Malloy, what will Valentine's Day consist of?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Pass the butter?
Yeah, exactly. Don't you feel like in a lot of ways that when you've been with someone for a long time, that days, you know how we talk about New Year's Eve as amateur hour? Don't you feel for couples that have been with each other for a long period of time, Valentine's Day is kind of like
So you're saying that the magic
hour.
has died? Is that you're trying to make yourself feel better?
I just said every day's like Valentine's Day.
We are not big holiday celebrators in my house, but Valentine's Day is actually the anniversary of our first date.
Oh, nice.
Our first, it was not planned. It happened to be Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. So that is.
Well, to me, does that make it weird that your first date is on Valentine's Day? Not now, of course, but at the time, is it like this is kind of weird? We're going out on Valentine's Day,
right? So maybe we were both like, it's better than being alone. I don't know. But it was a good date. I will admit, on a scale of 1 to good dates, it was a good date.
But doesn't White Castle do something special on Valentine's Day?
Oh, with the white tablecloths and everything else. Oh, yeah. And people do it. You know, I don't mind the kitsch. And I don't think you have to spend $1 million to say, hey, I love you. But this list, which we'll put up at eatdrinksmokeshow.com, I get this. Like, if you want a place that says something, that has a little bit of, well, that was an experience, and you're going to do it on Valentine's Day, this is it. Just make sure you're in the kind of relationship that's going to last the day after. Because the amount of breakups that take place on February 15th, because people are waiting to see the gifts on the 14th, man, some people are terrible.
Don't you feel like a huge sucker if you did invest big in Valentine's Day and then the person that you're with said, yeah, that really wasn't enough. It's February 15th. I have to go now.
Sometimes you have to pay to get out of a bad deal. See, that's silver lining talk right there. Sometimes you gotta pay to make it better. This is Eat, Drink, Smoke. Try something new, people. It's a new year. Although it's already February, which is super, super weird. The time is ticking, Fingers Malloy.
It is, and it goes tick, tick at the beginning of the year, and then it goes tick, 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 faster and faster. I can't believe I just got done with that sentence. It's March.
It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. God. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz. That's Fingers Malloy. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. I have known Fingers Malloy for well over a decade. The jokes are always that, and they always make me laugh. I have no defense. It's ridiculous. We're smoking the Angel Cuesta cigar from J.C. Newman. We'll hear more from Drew Newman, the 4th generation of cigar makers at J.C. Newman. But we are drinking the Clyde Mays Special Reserve 6-year straight bourbon whiskey, coming in, Fingers Malloy, at 110 proof. Clyde Mays, CLYDEMAYS, ClydeMays.com. Double Gold 2021 San Francisco World Spirits Competition, 93 points 2021 Ultimate Spirits Challenge. They make a series of bourbons and whiskeys. They even have an Alabama whiskey, which might be worth checking out. This, Fingers Malloy, we have just poured, and that is a very, very classic coloring right there. That is, I'm going to go with copper. Fingers.
That's fair.
I'm going to go with copper because it's darker. It looks rich, and we've got this in the Glencairn glass. That is that kind of funny shaped glass at the foot, and then it bows out, comes back in. You can really get your nose in it. You can really move it around. You try and get a full understanding. And when you're checking the nose of a bourbon, because we do get asked this question, we're not talking about taking a whiff. We're talking about getting your nose really in there. And the reason a Glencairn glass works better than a rocks glass is because it concentrates the nose. It concentrates the aroma. Also, taking the nose neat versus rocks or a big cube. Rocks, a cube, water, that changes the proof. It lowers the proof by definition. Water's the only thing you can add to a bourbon to lower the proof in the barrel, for example. And so water will change its complexion. That's not a bad thing. It's just that when you're first checking a bourbon, a whiskey, and anything, you take it neat. Get a feel for what it is. You've checked that nose, Fingers Malloy. What do you got?
Not a lot. You have to get your nose way, way, way in there.
Oh, you are right.
And you have to get way in there, and you do get some brown sugar, and that's about it. But, I mean, I'm telling you, my nose is way in this glass. It's not like one of those where you have the glass a foot away. You're like, oh, I'm getting something on the nose right away. You have to really get in there.
You do. I think the brown sugar is dead on. I think that's accurate. There's a touch of ethanol. There is a touch of alcohol on there. Now, 110 proof, it's not necessarily a surprise.
But you have to search for it.
Yes.
I mean, you have to search for it. You have to get your nose way in there. I'm really surprised. This may be the least amount of any kind of notes I'm getting on the nose of anything we've ever tried.
Yeah, that is super weird. There's very little there. There's very little. It's an indistinguishable nose. The brown sugar, I think, is the best so far. But Fingers Malloy, that's only part one. Now we have to drink it.
Okay.
Fingers Malloy, you ready for this?
I've been ready for this ever since the NFC Championship game.
Oh, sorry, Detroit. You got screwed, but I'm a Dan Campbell fan, and I remain so right now. Fingers Malloy is doing what's known as the Kentucky Chew. Move it around the palate, really get an idea of what it is that you're tasting here. The first sip, sometimes you want to take two sips. The first one to set the taste buds, the second one to really get the flavor. But you, Fingers, I think your eyes are watering.
Holy cow. You talk about a total flip-flop from there's nothing on the nose to, man, does this ever hit you on the palate? That brown sugar is there. There's a spice that's there as well. A little bit of oak, but not a whole heck of a lot. But it's intense on the palate. That spice, the brown sugar, a little bit of oak. It is really surprising going from that nose to what you're tasting.
I'm going in, Fingers Malloy.
Okay, you should do that.
There we go. This is the Clyde Maze. And by the way, this bottle, that label is gorgeous.
Yes.
It's absolutely beautiful. The Clyde Maze Special Reserve 6-year straight bourbon whiskey coming in at 110 proof.
It looks like something, the label looks like something from San Francisco from the 1800s.
Right. It's very apothecary is exactly the way to describe it. Good job, Fingers.
That's what I'm here for.
Calling it apothecary.
Yes, apothecary.
That's a Fingers Malloy kind of word right there. I'm going in, Fingers. Here I go.
Going in, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing what we like to call the Saginaw Swish. And he's having about the same reaction as I had when I took a sip. I didn't do that though.
Wow.
Isn't that surprising?
Oh, hit.
He's still going in.
It hit the lips right away. The tongue is dancing. Dancing. That's crazy. All right, so first, oh wow, now I'm in the finish. There is a cinnamon. There's a cinnamon, almost clovey thing going on. If I said to you, there's a bit of char going on there. There's like a thickness happening. Wow.
The char at the end. I can see that.
My problem is there is such a blast, but there's, I don't know where the flavor is. That's super weird.
You know what this reminds me of? If you were going to talk
sweet too.
to cigars, it's like a pepper bomb in a cigar.
Right? That's a good way to put it.
This is amazing.
As it's sitting and in that finish, a little bit of chocolate. There's definitely that cinnamon, that char thing. It's man, it hits with such. Now it doesn't hit like knock you over. It's just compared to the nose, it hits with such punch. No real heat center chest though. I was so concentrated on the tongue, I didn't even feel anything else.
And that punch is not an alcohol punch. It's not something that's
Right.
oh my goodness, this is overpowering in alcohol. It's that spice. You said cinnamon, I think you bring up a good point. It's a cinnamon, it's a spice. There's the brown sugar it's there, but it's kind of muted like on the nose, but it's there. But holy cow, it is so radically different than what I expected from the nose.
And what's interesting is it's not big because of the proof.
No.
I don't feel that in the slightest. I don't feel any burn at all. Just this punch of cinnamon, this dance on the tongue, and then that finish is this char cinnamon and chocolate. That's not a bad flavor, Fingers.
No, and here's the thing, too. I took my sip 4 minutes ago. It's still on the tip of my tongue.
It's still there. Now, question, Fingers Malloy. Is this in your liquor cabinet at $60 a bottle?
I'd have to think about it. I'll tell you what, I definitely, if I saw it at a lounge, I would get it. I'm leaning yes, just because of how things have changed price-wise and how everything has gone up in price, because this is so different.
Right.
It's an experience that I think is worthy of that price.
See, I don't think it's in my liquor cabinet because that's not my flavor profile. But I totally get how somebody could dig that, right? I know that someone's going to be like, that's fun. That's fun. I want to try that. The Clyde Mays Special Reserve 6-year. So I continued the conversation with Drew Newman of JC Newman Cigars. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz. That's Fingers Malloy. Spoke to Drew Newman about the coming trends in cigars. Let's talk a little bit about business. One of the things that we focus on at Eat, Drink, Smoke is the concept of trends, what's happening, what's been selling. Of course, COVID meant a tremendous amount of cigars being sold. You have explained to us before that there are these cycles, quarter-century kind of cycles, right, that take place where we see an incredible boom in cigars. But we have economic realities that we also discuss. You know, things being discussed in the cigar lounge, we discuss here on Eat, Drink, Smoke. And there are economic concerns all over the place, and there have been 2023 business owners talk to me about this for 2024. What are you seeing as the possible trends for this year? Are there still supply issues? Is it a pricing concern? Does it mean not maybe unveiling as many either brands or vitolas of certain cigars? How do you view it?
So I think you're right, Tony. In our 128 years in business, we've seen almost like clockwork a boom period every 25 years, and the most recent one occurring during the pandemic when people had more time on their hands, and many people chose to drink more drinks and smoke more cigars, and so consumption increased, demand for cigars increased, and because our industry is one where we handcraft a product made with aged tobacco leaves, you just can't make more cigars quickly. And so for a couple of years there, demand far exceeded supply. What we saw last year, though, is supply catching up to demand. And I think where the industry is right now is at a plateau. The interest in cigars that really picked up during the pandemic has remained. There are a lot of people, a lot of adults who are now enjoying cigars more frequently, but there's now the market has caught up. So when you walk into a typical retailer's humidor, it should be fully stocked. There are cigars right now. What worries me most right now is some of the instability that we're seeing particularly in tobacco growing markets. You know, I'm thinking right now of Ecuador, which is a major producer, particularly of wrapper tobacco. Of Ecuador Havana tobaccos, Ecuador Connecticut tobaccos, and the instability there, the very bad crop, shade crop that they had there last year is going to have an effect on us and all the other large cigar companies too. And so we're always worried about that, and it's something just that we'll have to continue monitoring and working on going forward.
Before I let you go, Drew Newman of JC Newman Cigars, jcnewman.com. In growing a business and growing a brand, you're still always working on it. There's a reason Coke still advertises. You see people get into the lounge side of things. Rocky Patel did it with Burn. Davidoff attaches itself in places. For me, it's Blend Bar Cigar in Indianapolis, Indiana, where we record the show. Is JC Newman ever getting into the lounge business?
Well, we were the first, Tony. Starting in 2006, I believe, we started opening up Diamond Crown cigar lounges around the country, and we have, I think, 37 right now. And so these are partnerships with premier retailers throughout the United States, where we work with them and name their lounge and and outfit it and make it a comfortable space. What we saw beginning in the late 90s and early 2000s was just an increase in smoking bans. That was the era where smoking was banned indoors from restaurants and then bars. It became hard to find a place to light up and enjoy a cigar. And so beginning then, almost 20 years ago, we started to partner with some of our key retailers to help make sure that there were places where people could go and relax and enjoy a cigar. And so we're very proud to be a pioneer in the branded lounge part of our business, because it's a way for us to help ensure that there's a place for people to enjoy cigars no matter who makes them.
Drew Newman, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. Like to catch up with you a little more often. Hopefully we'll see you in Vegas for the PCA show. jcnewman.com. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Drew Newman, JC Newman Cigars, appreciate him. Fingers, we do look at trends. We do look at what's happening. And certainly with Drew and JC Newman, jcnewman.com, we're talking about size and how things are, they make things to Toro Robusto still being the popular sizes. But there are groups out there, you take a look at some of the things that come out of CLE and the Asylum. Those 60, 70 ring gauges, and people totally dig that stuff.
Yeah, who makes the Texas Lancero?
Isn't that Alec Bradley?
Okay.
I'll double check, but I think it's Alec Bradley.
But I just, you see some of these big ring gauges, and I understand it, especially if you're Shaq. I completely understand why you would like a cigar that big, but you and I have both stated that that's just not what we look for in a cigar.
By the way, the Texas Lancero, which is Drew, not Drew Estate, it's Alec Bradley. It's a 7x70. It's giant. It's a billy club.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You have to use two hands to smoke it.
But we've seen, for example, Mexican San Andreas wrappers and just that tobacco really come into style. And over the last few years, using that as an example of something that's grown in popularity. You always talk about price, and you do focus on it. I am wondering if this year is now going to be within cigars the price point conversation is going to be the trend, and does that therefore change how blenders work, how those creators work? In terms of, all right, maybe we're going to use a little bit less expensive tobacco. Maybe we're going to just change vitolas, those shapes, so we're not using as much tobacco. Or are they going to say, well, this is where the audience is at, but they won't pay this, so that's just our reality. I am fascinated by whether or not that's going to be the trend for 2024.
Yeah, I think that price point really matters now because you have so many people who their behavior changed when it came to cigars because of COVID. They're smoking more cigars at home. Right. Well, now they're seeing that, just like everything else, prices have gone up on cigars. So now they have to make a decision. Am I going to smoke as many and hit that higher price point and spend more money? Am I going to cut back and still have that same quality cigar? Or am I looking for value and still being able to smoke as many sticks as I did 2 years ago?
There's no doubt I would be quality. I would smoke less to smoke better. But better, it does not necessarily mean the dollars. Better just means, what my palate is interested in, what I see as a value. It was interesting when we were talking about trends and he just started with sizes. Is that what moves people the most? I have it wrong. It isn't blend. It isn't types of tobacco. It isn't. It's the size. I'm fascinated to see if that's really where it's all at. The secret to the relationship that Fingers Malloy and I have is that he has never borrowed money from me, and I have never borrowed money from him. That sometimes I'll buy the cigar, sometimes he'll buy the cigar. Sometimes I'll buy lunch, sometimes he'll buy lunch. It is about ensuring that never once does the other person feel like they are taken advantage of. Never once, never ever. This is a good way to engage a relationship with a friend. It's Eat, Drink, Smoke. I'm Tony Katz. That is Fingers Malloy. Find it all at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. And to ensure we can keep buying each other cigars, don't forget to buy our books, Let's Go Barbecue and Let's Go Bourbon, available at Amazon.com.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Tony, because, Valentine's Day is right around the corner.
And some people, they haven't gotten their gifts yet.
No, they have not. And I can't think of a better gift and an easier gift to purchase for your significant other than Let's Go Barbecue or Let's Go Bourbon, because where can you find it, Tony?
Amazon.com, Fingers.
Oh, my goodness. How easy is it? Just get on that site, order the book. It's delivered to your door soon.
It's like we've been practicing. But there's a story in the New York Post that 40% of people have ended a relationship over a poor financial decision. Now, I'm not so sure if this is people who are married or people who are just friends. It was a survey that was done. 2,000 Americans, Fingers Malloy.
Yes. That is more than 1,999 Americans, but not quite as many as 2001.
So overall, nearly 3/4 of the respondents feel sure about their decision-making ability. 74% describe themselves as decisive. Just 1 in 6 admit to being indecisive. And the rest said, this is just too hard. I'm not even answering the question. So they think that they've got good judgment. They think they have strong intuition. But the question is...
I think these are romantic relationships, by the way.
You think that these are romantic?
Yes.
So 40%... So first of all, just for clarity, Fingers Malloy and I do not have a romantic relationship. It's love.
Yes.
But there are no foot rubs.
No. There certainly are not.
Wow.
I don't even like touching my own feet. Feet creep me out. People who dig feet freak me out.
What's wrong with feet?
What's wrong with them? Everything.
You really? I mean, so like if Mrs. Malloy is on the couch and you're on the couch and her feet touch your feet, that's not allowed?
That's not allowed.
That's not allowed?
No, we all have our things, Tony. Creeps me out.
There's no footsie?
No. It's none of that. No.
Is there handsy?
No. But 40%, apparently, people ended relationships because of a poor financial decision.
I want to know what that means. So are we discussing the idea that is it I wanted to buy this house and they didn't? Is it I wanted to invest in this thing and they didn't?
Or maybe I went and bought a new car and didn't consult that person. I made a big purchase without making...
You're looking at me in the Ford Bronco, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
That happens. I've told this story before. I ended up buying a 1996 Ford Bronco.
And she's a beaut.
From an auction site. The Mecum auction comes to town, and I was doing it online, and I don't know, it was I started at like $5,000. I'm like, that's cool, and it's red, it looks cool. Click, I'll buy it, and I got in at like I don't know what it was, and then went up to like 12.5. I'm like, all right, I'll do that, and as I hit click, it jumps to 15. I'm like, oh no, $15,000. Like, no. And then it goes to 17. I'm like, all right, I'm in the clear. And then all of a sudden it says winner. I'm sitting on the back deck. I screamed so loud that my wife opens the window from upstairs and goes, are you okay? And I said, it's funny you should say that.
May I ask you a question before you continue?
Go ahead.
At that point, did you actually feel like a winner?
No, I did not. And it's funny because the auction calls you. Did you really mean to buy that? And you know at that moment, if you say no, they'll never let you buy another thing again. Mm-hmm. You will never get a chance to bid again if you say no. There's no way. And full disclosure, they advertise on my station. They've been very, very lovely. I've done some advertising stuff for them. Am I going to be the guy who says no? So I have to think about it in that second. I'm like, I guess I'm buying a Ford Bronco. And so my wife's like, are you okay? I said, well, it's funny you should ask because I just bought a 1996 Ford Bronco. And my wife, to her credit, pauses, looks at me. She through the screen, through the window, she looks at me and goes, will you just stop? That's all she says. Will you just stop? And then we get it, and it runs and everything else, but it needs a little work here, needs a little work there.
But don't we all?
Oh, new struts and new shocks and new motor mounts and everything else. Thing runs like a top. In the super freezing cold we had in the Midwest, those negative temperatures, I went out every week to start it right up.
Sure.
Started right. I'm driving it today.
It's really cool.
I'm like 3 trim pieces away on the interior, and then getting the swing arm put on for the spare, and I'm done.
It'll be like it's 1996 again.
Right. And who doesn't want it to be 1996 again?
Anyone who lost their... I was going to make a Sugar Ray joke, and I lost it.
You were going to make the band Sugar Ray?
Yes.
Only you.
That seems right around 1996.
Did you know that coming to Indianapolis, there's a tour? It's REO Speedwagon and Train.
Oh, good Lord.
That's the tour.
That sounds terrible.
What if I send you to report back on what you experienced?
Sure, I'll do that.
You would go?
No. Hey, but God bless all of you out there who love Train.
So I have done this thing, but I think that I would assume it would be something that was really massively consequential and could create financial hardship. And how do you not discuss that? Now, sometimes decisions get made, and sometimes there are disagreements, but I don't know if it's the one big thing or if it's a bunch of little things.
This goes into something that I remember someone giving me very, very good advice many, many years ago.
Many moons ago?
Yes, he said 90% of couples fight over 2 things, money and sex.
Is that right?
Yeah. So apparently 40%
What if the
of these
fighting
couples...
leads to sex?
The makeup sex?
Whatever. What if it's not even makeup? It's just what creates the mood.
The tension of the fight creates the mood.
Look, I didn't say it was right. I'm only asking what's possible.
I guess it's 2024, February. Anything is possible. But so 40% of people ended a relationship over poor financial decision. I could totally see that.
See, and that says relationship. I don't know if I could see in my head. That's not marriage. Relationship. That's why I took it as friendships and things like that. But
above their, like in one, it says, while most Americans believe they're decisive, many seek advice from someone at work or the news above their partner's advice.
That's crazy town.
So to me, it's partner, spouse, whatever.
Expertise is one thing. Your coworker doesn't know anything. Have you met your coworker?
Listen, I really value your advice, Tony.
Oh, thank you. We are coworkers.
There you go.
Aren't we?
Yes.
The Angel Cuesta from J.C. Newman as we work our way towards the final third of this 7 1/4 by 57 cigar. It has mellowed that wood for me, spice for Fingers Malloy, and the Clyde Maze, 6-year, 110 proof on the rock. The Special Reserve Bourbon all day on the rock, but at $60 a bottle, I'm still not there. Fingers Malloy, he's in. Find everything at eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Eatdrinksmokeshow.com. This is Eat Drink Smoke.
Follow Eat Drink Smoke on social media, on Twitter at Go Eat Drink Smoke, on Facebook, facebook.com/Eat Drink Smoke, and Instagram at Eat Drink Smoke Podcast.